should be live now.
Yeah, we are live.
Damn, that was fast.
Yeah, we are live. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Can't complain.
Good man.
Excited.
Yeah, we got the whole team here. The gang's all here.
The gang's all here.
Except Rucker. Poor Rucker.
Rutgers with us in spirits. And probably watching. But yeah, we got the office hours session right here with Ryan, Excalibur Zero, aka Nathan, and the man himself, Robin Wesley. How you guys doing?
Good man.
Good, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So can let a couple people get in here before we get into it. But the gist of it is basically we've been getting a lot of questions about sync. So we thought it'd be a good idea to have all of us in here to talk more about the opportunity that there is right now while we're choosing to talk more about sync in general and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get too heavy in depth about what sync licensing is. We might touch upon certain topics, but this session is more to talk about what the guys, all of us here at He and Nathan, why we think now is the opportunity to get into sync and why we've been putting so much content behind it. So yeah, if you guys are ready, we can probably get into a few questions once we get some people to hop in the chat and everything.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to start off by talking to or asking Robin. I want to know a little bit more just your general story or your story on working in the industry in general, how you started off selling beats and how that shifted into other things, and just hear more about your experiences.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, I've told this story like so many times already, but I started off selling beats pretty early on. Actually, around the same time Nathan started as well. SoundClick days, 2011, 2012, good old days of selling beats. Basically, been selling beats for like more than 10 years. But to be honest, like I'm pretty much like a retired beat seller by now. I think I told the story before, but I think it was last year. I don't know. I just got into some issues with my health and everything. And if you talk about, how I got into all these other things with Heat, at some point I was selling beats. I was doing live shows as a musician, running Heat and everything. And then basically, when everything came together, it was just like way too much to handle for me. So I started noticing for myself, this is more personal though, that, I just wasn't really enjoying making music anymore, at least not for the whole beat selling aspect of it. And that's mainly because I've been doing that for such a long time. My whole life was around like selling beats online. So last year I stopped selling beats, just became less active, and just started exploring into like different ways to monetize my music or just to get by as a music producer. And well, a lot of things happened during that time, but long story short, obviously when I stopped being active selling beats, sales went down a little bit. Whoops, where did Troy go?
It's like you popped out, but it should still be live.
Okay, cool. I'll just finish up my story though. So yeah, by becoming like a little less active, obviously sales went down a bit. Started to look into other ways to like get by, and then all of a sudden I got like my BMI check and never really got any royalties off of selling beats, to be honest, at least not from working with independent artists. But then I started noticing like some of the placements that I got in TV shows, and I completely forgot I did that. It was like 2017, 2018. I did some tracks for TV, and I was just looking at the statements, and I was like, okay, shit, I'm actually making money off of these placements. It's been like 5 years, 6 years by now. Started looking more into it. I was like, okay, shit, this actually works. So I started reaching out to my contact that helped me out to get into sync at that point. And just because I still didn't really understand how I was getting paid and how the whole structure worked. But I did start to notice that, I was still making good money off of just like 10 beats that I got into sync placements. So started looking into that, and then I was like, damn, this is actually a huge opportunity when I started to learn like how it actually worked. Through talking with my old contact, he also explained to me just, the whole business model of sync. And I just found like a lot of comparison between or similarities between selling beats and sync, but there were like a lot more upsides to sync licensing on the long term. So especially for me, like who've been doing this for such a long time, it was very refreshing to find something that has a little bit more sustainability and is not that dependent on being active every day, making these beats, uploading these beats and whatnot. So that's sort of like the short story.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Sorry about that cut off. Everything should be
I
good
saw
now.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was just on my end. But yeah, so would you say that it was kind of like a gradual, or not gradual, but kind of like the normal direction to go from your career trajectory as far as you starting to sell beats and then shifting more into sync as life goes on and everything like that? Or why
Not at
more
all.
specifically sync?
Honestly, I just stumbled upon it, man. There was no strategy towards that whatsoever. It was just me trying to figure out a way just to stay creative, just to stay active in the music industry that did not have to depend on selling beats. Like I said, this is like very personal because I just been doing this for such a long time, but I just stumbled upon it. I was like, damn, let's just look into this and see what kind of opportunities there are here. And that's when I actually, reached out to Nathan, a few artists as well, and really started to dive into and research more about that way of monetizing as a producer.
Oh, yeah, awesome. So why specifically sync out of all the other opportunities and selling beats is something that you decided to double down on and bring Nathan on and everything?
Well, it wasn't just specifically sync. I looked into a lot of different things. I just stumbled upon sync, but I looked into other ways to monetize that are like very popular these days. So just as a producer, I had like a very typical style of music, very 90s zeros, like old school. So I always had people reach out to me for like samples. So I started doing some sample packs my own. I've always done mixing and mastering. I started to double down on that like during the COVID years, for example. I had like a bunch of projects back then. But the thing with those projects is that it was always very dependent on my own hours. So whether I would be setting a sample pack, I had to put in the work to get those samples done. If I had to do mixing and mastering, it's just putting hours into being in the studio. And that was something I was like, this is not really skatable in the long term. So yeah, I guess when I stumbled upon sync, I just got the check. I saw the BMI check and I was like, okay, I'm getting money from this. It's like similar to getting like YouTube royalties, for example, like from Content ID, right? It just comes at you every month. And that passive side of it, that's when I was like, okay, maybe this could be something that we could chase down and look more into. And to be honest, like it's not like I doubled down on sync at that point. I was just like, damn, this could actually be really good for Heat as well. We've always been about selling beats, and I still think like selling beats is very good for producers who are just starting off because it's very simple these days to just set up your website. Well, simple is like maybe a little too short. There comes a lot more with it to be successful in this, but in general, just selling digital products online is very accessible to a lot of people, right? Whether that's a service or a product, a sample pack or a beat, it's easy to set up shop and just get started with that. But with sync, it's kind of like it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more technical, and you need a little bit more knowledge about the music industry. For me, that was kind of refreshing because I never really looked at it like that.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of talked about it before, and it's been brought up how sync and beat selling kind of goes hand in hand. Can you elaborate more on that so that people can kind of understand what that means?
Yeah, so that was actually really funny because that's when I really started looking into it, I started noticing some of the similarities, but I could easily put that into context of what I had been experiencing over the past couple of years. So, for example, like what I loved about selling beats is that, you can sell one beat over and over again. Like I was very focused on just the non-exclusive side of it. I barely sold any exclusives for my beats because that non-exclusive side of it is just so valuable. So one beat you could sell it to like dozens, hundreds, thousands of different artists. And when it came to like checking into sync, I was like, yeah, royalties, that's fine, but you have to wait till you get paid. I knew from my experience working with some bigger labels, like I'm still waiting to get paid for songs I did like 2 years ago, just to give an example. So I was like, I don't really like that aspect of it. But when I looked into it, I was like, with sync, okay, you can get like upfront fees or something like that, or sync fees. And it's not like you have to wait years and years to get paid. Like the payments got really fast. Like I got my my music plays in TV shows. And when I looked back at my BMI statements, it only took like 3 to 6 months to get that first check. So that's something I was like, okay, so you can get that instant money on beat sales notifications from artists, but you could also make music for sync opportunities that get paid in upfront sync, and the royalties, they only take like 3 to 6 months to come to you. So that was like a cool thing. But the big difference with that is the royalties on sync come in passively, right? And with selling beats to artists, like I have so many artists out there that are using my beats still today, but I don't make any money off of that. It's only the bigger productions that I did with, one out of the hundreds of thousands of songs that have been made out of my music actually generate some money off of royalties. So it's very rare that you get royalties off of beat leases, and that's a big difference compared to selling beats versus sync.
Yeah, for real. I can definitely see how the feeling of getting that check and seeing the number on it, and then seeing how that side of the industry runs versus the beat selling side, which we're all used to, and used to the struggles and stresses that we deal with, as far as like how you mentioned, like waiting years to get paid for songs, if ever. Yeah,
Yeah, I hate
if
that part.
ever. Yeah, just missing out on a lot of money versus. So I can see why the appeal of wanting to share like this opportunity of sync, and why we think that that's such a big deal for the community, and why it's something that we want to really share, and why you brought Nathan on a team to be able to share his wealth of knowledge, because you, like you said, you have plenty of experience in the field, but Nathan has been doing this full time for a matter of years now, right?
To be honest, if I can interject here, like I started looking into it, I researched it, and I started talking with people, and Nathan was one of the guys, but he really showed me like the process of it on the back end. And that's when I was like, I could tie it in with our own community, knowing like I'm sure Ryan can talk more about this, but knowing what producers these days are struggling with, especially the ones that we come across that need our help in terms of marketing. Like we just noticed some producers are just not really cut out to do all the marketing stuff. And when I talked to Nathan, and I'm sure he can tell a little bit more about his workflow, like that's so interesting how he's been able to like get by. We don't even know the shit that he's doing. Like it's so unknown that it was crazy for me to think like, okay, so this dude's just basically focusing on music, getting his music placed, and is making money. He didn't have to upload the beats to YouTube. He didn't have to promote his face on social media or stuff like that. I was like, okay, this is actually a good alternative for people who are not that good, with all due respect, in the marketing side of selling beats.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Before we get into the questions that I got for Ryan and Nathan, I just want to kind of touch briefly on kind of the direction that Heat is going in, what the plans are for the future, and how how teaming up with Nathan fits into that. So is that something you kind of want to elaborate on real quick?
Yeah, sure. Like I think we've expressed this a couple times over in the past years. Like we've always been about the marketing side of helping producers monetize, and mainly through selling beats online, because that's like Heat came from my own experience and just the business that I built off of this. So naturally we stepped into selling beats, but ultimately we always wanted to become more of like a resource hub for producers that could provide way more than just marketing tips on selling beats, and just give information out there that isn't here at the moment or wasn't here a couple years ago. I really love that aspect of just bringing stories within the community that people could get inspired by or learn from. Like these days, it's more than just the CCS course, for example. Like we work with some of the bigger producers right now. We're getting a little bit more acknowledgement from these guys, so we help them out with marketing. We've basically sort of like turned it into an agency where we do marketing stuff for producers like J Cactus, Ocean, Chucky Beats, and it's really cool because we learn a lot from them in terms of in terms of the people that they are and how they're able to like build a business like the ones that they have. They're YouTubers, they run their businesses, and we learn from that, and we try to like take that information, and they know this too, by the way. We take that information, we learn from that, and then we try to bring it out into the community so others can learn from that as well. So you could see us more of like the information source that gathers in all the data and works with all these different kinds of people within the producer community and tries to bring it back to one source and just with that help others out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like you mentioned earlier, we have talked about, Heat being seen as kind of like a research hub. And, a lot of the recent changes that have been made, like on the Discord server, kind of reflect that. The way that the server has been changed up, I think it kind of lends itself to become even more of that research hub and makes that kind of more intuitive for everybody to be able to dive into and, start to communicate and engage with each other and learn with the community.
True.
But yeah, so that's all the questions I got for you, Robin. I'm gonna go ahead and switch.
I'm gonna
over
go.
to
Peace.
all right. Yeah, that's it. Bye. Nah. Yeah, no, I'm gonna switch over to Ryan right now. So my first question for Ryan is, how do you think the producers in the Heat community can take advantage of sync?
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off. One, I want to see some activity in the chat. Let's see some ones in the chat. Come on, guys. Where the hell are we at? Talking about building such an amazing community, and it's just me talking to myself.
Only you can say shit like that.
I know. I have the pass. What was the question again? No, I'm playing. So, like, Robin kind of talked about it, right? Is a lot of producers, it's not trying to be mean, but a lot of producers really aren't built out for the marketing side of stuff. Hey, RMC Beats is in here. What's up, man? It's just they're not really built out for this stuff. And like what we learned is, so even when I came into the course in 2020, like Robin had a good amount of stuff built out already. But even then, like over the next 2 years, like I try to make even more content and make it easier and make it more, like whatever we can do to make it easier, let's do that and make it easier. So like people get more success as well, which helps us in the long run. Because if it's a great product, kind of does itself, like it markets itself, right? And what we saw is like, no matter how easy, how step-by-step we try to make it, if you don't care to do the marketing, you're not going to stick with it and you're not going to do it, which means like you're not going to be able to reap the rewards from it. And so really, some people will be able to combine sync licensing and selling beats, but some people, it might just be a better alternative to like, I fucking hate making content. I don't want to build a website. I don't want to do email marketing. Although those are great skills to have and can make you more money, and like just having more skills is always a beautiful thing to have. If you just want to make music and get paid for it, I think sync licensing is really that opportunity now, especially because now Nathan's going to make it easy as hell for you to do. Wink, wink.
For sure.
Yeah, I think really it's just, you can combine them if you want. I know Nathan even has a video about this. I'm sure Nathan's going to be making more and more content about this. So that's definitely one thing to talk about, kind of like how he would take beats and would kind of remake them if he was selling beats online, and then also remake them if they're going out for sync placements. So you can do both, but it really just looks like if you just hate the marketing side of this shit, like this is a better opportunity for you.
Got it. Yeah. So with all this sync stuff, does that mean we're abandoning selling beats?
No. Luckily, we haven't gotten many questions about that. I think people kind of understand that we're going nowhere with that. So I'm going to be making all the content about it. I mean, we're literally working with these guys like J Cactus, Ocean, Chucky Beats about selling kits. So, and honestly, the same thing applies to beats as to kits. Like it's very much, you just change out a word and you're doing the same thing pretty much. So if anything, like we're getting even stronger on that side now because we're getting our hands even dirtier with some of the biggest guys in the space. And who knows where that's going to even lead to. So yeah, it's that's going nowhere. If anything, we're kind of learning more than ever right now.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it's just going to be more sauce coming from all different directions,
Honestly, you're going to get, I'm not going to say that sentence. You're just going to get sauced on? Yeah.
All right, guys. Now I got to go now.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to stop talking for a bit after that one.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing any of that in the way he said it. But
this is why I always have a script for my video.
Yeah, let's go ahead and stop talking to Ryan. So I want to go over and let's go switch the attention over to Nathan because, no, I'm just playing. But honestly, my first question for Nathan is, what is the accessibility to make getting into sync licensing, a living for producers, or even just a side hustle?
I think that the way you guys touched on it earlier about how beat selling and sync licensing kind of go hand in hand, in my opinion. From what I'm seeing, I feel like there's a big opportunity for producers who don't want to be in front of a camera, don't want to be promoting, sending out emails, all that stuff, to really just be behind the shadows and focus solely on music. But also, I think that anybody who is doing that already and has their beat selling business and they really are tied into it, but they don't want to like put too much focus on something else. We all know as producers, as musicians, that's very important to build multiple streams of revenue to really live off this, not just like live off this for the next few years, but live off this for the next 20, 30 years. Like start building little empires for yourself and create those streams of revenue. So I think that if you're a producer who's already selling beats online and you have that as your main workflow, that sync licensing could go hand in hand. As Ryan mentioned, I did have a video before, but I talked about this before, but basically you can take those drums that you make for beat selling and take the melodies that you have, strip out the melodies, but have just a beat, and then use the same sounds you have, and then make another track for that, and then turn that into, send that in for sync. That's being efficient. You're working quickly because you already have that, project already there. As long as you're not sending the same exact track, you're going to be fine, and you can get away with that without sending the melodic elements of that. So that's one way to kind of build yourself this nice extra stream of revenue. And I kind of think of beat selling and sync licensing like almost like if I had a graph here. Beat selling, once you start getting sales, is consistent like this. But once like sync licensing starts off slow at the beginning, but once you get to that point where it hits at the same time, like you're going to be living very comfortably off of this, for years to come. So that's kind of the picture I see what sync licensing is kind of going. And to end that on a good note, I feel like beat selling to artists and sync licensing can have like a really good business model. You can kind of almost like redirect your business model once you start getting these opportunities for sync licensing for yourself, where you can kind of have them like a gateway for you to get more placements and also for them to kind of pay you. So you work with them on an exclusive basis. They pay you maybe, let's say like $500 or something to make them a custom beat. Most of these music libraries and people who are making the sync licensing content want exclusive music. So if you're just saying, hey, look, you buy this beat from me for $500. We'll make a track. I'll send it into my companies that I'm submitting for sync licensing. We'll collect the upfront fee. We'll split that in half, and we'll collect the royalties and split that in half. That way, you're making money off it as well. But I just want to make sure I'm paid for my music upfront. So that's a great way to like kind of build your own system, your own business out of this, outside of just like uploading a beat to YouTube and hoping somebody just randomly comes across it. So that's kind of where I see the accessibility of sync licensing kind of going.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he has a script. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
That was way too perfect.
Very fluent. Dude, he's got. I've either taught him well.
I've thought about this. I've been meditating on this for a while.
It's been thinking about for so long. Yeah, but something that Robin kind of touched on earlier was like kind of the intricacies of sync compared to just posting your beats on YouTube and all that. So like, how hard is it to start getting into sync and start to understand all the terms and things you gotta know to be like knowledgeable in the field?
That's actually a really good question. I feel like with sync licensing, I don't think it's hard to get into if you understand what you're doing. If you understand how to actually speak where you're not coming off as just some random person who makes beats and is like, hey, check out my type beat channel, to the, a client. Like, these guys are professionals. So if you treat them as a professional, that's really going to take you far. So as long as you know how to really get into it, and that's my job, is to teach you that. I've worked 6 years as a music supervisor, doing all that back end work, doing all that not so fun work that people, don't really know about when it goes into that stuff. So as long as you really know how to approach the situation, the music's going to take care of itself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know that's something that you obviously make a lot of content about, helping producers, and I'm sure you're going to keep making a lot more content about that. And we talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
Contractually obligated. Yeah. They got you in a chokehold with that, but
Saw my life away for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we do here at Heat. They did the same thing to me last year. And that's why I haven't left this room
against his will.
Yeah, I haven't left this room in months. I've just been interviewing people. I'm not allowed to make beats anymore. I signed that right away.
You also signed an NDA, bro. You can't say that shit.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm about to get fired. All right. I'm gonna fire. I'll see you guys. No, I'm just kidding. All right. But yeah, what I was kind of saying is we kind of talked about some of this stuff when we had you on the last office hours session, for the viewers here that maybe didn't get to catch that, and that was kind of when the first waves of sync started being talked about in the Heat community. But kind of what's your background in music and how did you get into, selling beats online and eventually sync?
So I started selling beats online, like Robin actually mentioned earlier, back in like 2011. That was like the early age of SoundClick. And SoundClick, I feel like if you got on top 100 charts on SoundClick, you're making a pretty comfortable living. I don't know if you knew about that, Robin, but once you got the top 10, you're
Bro,
made.
you just had to buy. I had to get up at 6 a.m. every morning to buy that front page banner.
Oh, you bought it? Yeah, I didn't have them. I was broke.
Yeah,
back
but
then, so I
everyone
didn't
was
have the money
trying
to buy.
to. Everyone was chasing it, So you had to actually sit behind the computer at 5:45 like a.m. and I would just refresh my page constantly. And when it became available for the next day, you had to like instantly click it and buy it and check out through PayPal. It was
Yeah,
beautiful.
it was a struggle if you were not like on the top 10. Like that's where like the big producers like Superstar O, like the Mount Rushmore, Superstar O, Buy Beats, John Giano, like they were really running that stuff on there. But I started selling beats. I wasn't able to get anything really consistent. I think I touched top 100 once. Like I said, I was broke, so I had no money to even buy any of the promo and stuff. I had no idea about marketing. I just knew put my beat up there. Hopefully it took care of itself. And that's kind of how the model was before. So I was into that for a lot, but at the same time, I was really getting pressed to find something to do outside of college. I was 19 years old living on my own, but my mom really pressed me like, you need to find something to do with your life. So I'm like, I don't want to do anything but music. So I went to Full Sail University. I went there for 3 years. I had my struggle, and I'll talk about that more within the masterclass that we're going to have. But I really had my struggle, and but I got lucky enough that they had a career development program once I graduated, and they basically had like different internships and stuff that you can sign up for. Luckily, I got accepted into an internship working for a sync licensing company. How to do like normal intern stuff, but they had a lot of things that they had me do. I was able to learn the ins and outs, and that's what really kind of opened my mind to this, because I started seeing all these different types of producers and all these different types of musicians who are signed with sync licensing, and then I was able to see where the opportunity really was shining. And a lot of us, like, I feel like more hip hop, urban based, or pop based, or EDM based, really don't know about this. We were having I was seeing like old orchestral heads or cinematic heads or old rock dudes just trying to make our style of music, and it was just not good. So that's kind of how my background started with this. And I worked there for 6 years as a music supervisor, and was able to go full time, sending my music in at the same time to compose for them. So that's kind of how I got into this.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I got one last question for you before, but I just wanted to say that everybody, if they want to start throwing the ones in the chat, not ones. I'm not gonna pull Ryan. Start dropping some questions. We got the whole team here. If anything you want to ask about sync licensing or anything for Ryan or Robin, go ahead and start dropping that. But before we get into that, I just wanted to see, why did you decide to join Team Heat?
Good question too. To be honest, when I started selling beats online, I bought a lot of beat selling courses, and none of them talk about the real things like market. Everything is like very simple. Like I got one video that I bought. I remember it was upside down. The whole course was upside down. I had to like flip my head to watch what he's doing. He was showing you how to do like YouTube ads. It was all very entry level stuff. I've talked to Ryan before, like, on a one-to-one basis. And I've also was interviewed by Heat, a while ago. And I just saw the growth of what this is going, and how you guys touched on earlier. I saw from a distance that this is like becoming a resource hub. I know you guys tried out like the sample site and stuff like that. And that's when everything just started like getting really inspiring for me, because I was already doing what I'm doing. And I know that you guys have a great course. I've taken the course, and I've never seen so much detail on how to actually market yourself and make a business out of it. This is a difference between just like being a beat selling producer or being a person who's creating a business. And that's what I'm trying to teach. You guys are like really about, and I mean this, like, I'm not getting paid for this. Like Robin's not holding a gun behind the door. Like, I really believe that my goal is to help people become full-time off of this, because I was so desperate. I have notebooks behind me that was writing in like almost every day. I wanted to become full-time. I want to be self-employed. I don't want to work for anybody. I want to make music for a living. And I was so desperate. But when I started teaching this stuff about sync licensing, I realized I was almost talking to like a younger version of myself. I was talking to that person who didn't have that before. And I see that within Heat. And it's like, I know that sync licensing goes hand in hand with beat selling, and I always wanted to promote that. And ever since I like started first talking to you guys about it, the idea, you guys reach out to me and stuff like that. I have not looked back since. And just to see if you guys know how much like detail goes into everything, or how much they have their hand in everything. Like he talked about working with Chucky Beats and everything like that earlier. They work with so many people. It's ridiculous. Like we don't really understand how much they're really helping the overall community on the back end and stuff like that. So, you know, that's part of the reason why I'm part of the Heat, and I'm glad I'm a part of Heat, because I have not looked back since. I've been motivated. I've been way more organized. I wasn't, you know, it's been a blessing for sure for me, at least. Hopefully you guys feel the same. I'm about to get kicked out after this.
I love that, man.
You missed the part about how we're all so good looking, and you thought.
All right, guys, I got to head out of here. I cut you guys later. Just kidding.
He didn't want to tell y'all the truth. That's only me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's 100% mutual. I'm so excited. Me and you would talk about this so many times, but it's just like, we all click on this wavelength, and we're all like such grinders too. And so it just works perfectly, honestly.
For sure.
I can't really imagine doing this with anybody else, honestly.
We're best friends now.
Oh, shit, no, I have to say something nice too, right?
Yeah. That's in your contract.
Love you guys.
Yeah. But yeah, no. That's pretty much all the questions that I had for you guys planned right now. Is just anything you guys want to bring up or talk about before, you know, we start trying to see if we can get some questions from the audience? Any of y'all?
How many people signed up for the free masterclass, Ryan?
Right now, I am hype because there's almost 2,500 people signed up.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's insane. I didn't think we were gonna get that many people.
I'm nervous.
You didn't?
I just got to figure out the technicals, right?
Yeah, now we just got to figure out how to make it like go live and stuff. Yeah.
I knew we were gonna do it all along.
I have a question, actually. I have a question that goes with that. What do you guys like? If you guys are in the chat, if you're going to the masterclass, what are you guys expecting from the masterclass? What are you guys looking to take out of it, as far as sync licensing and stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question.
If you're not signed up, pinned link in the chat. We'll take you there.
Yep, we got the pinned link in the chat. We also got the banner running under the screen, in case you forget that. But yeah, while we wait for some people to respond to that, I saw some questions earlier. If you guys want to get into that,
let's do it.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, this first one's from RMC Beats.
What's up, RMC?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
Homie. That's my homie.
Yeah. Yes. What would be the differences between a normal beat and a sync beat? Just a sting at the end?
That's a good question. Mostly it's arrangement. You want to get quick intros, but yeah, you do want to add a sting at the end. And then beats, beats for you do for type beats usually are like 2.5, 3.5 minutes. For sync licensing for instrumental specifically, it's like 1.5 to 2 minutes. So it's a little bit shorter. But that's like the main difference between a normal beat and a sync beat. Just quick intros. Arrangement's a little bit different as far as like how quickly everything gets into transition, and then adding that sting at the end.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know what a sting was until we started getting into all the sync stuff, and I started watching your content more.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's what it is. I hear that everywhere, but I never heard a producer mention that before, ever.
Oh yeah, it's just like a little hit or a little button. If you're ever watching reality TV with your girl, you've heard it for sure, 100%. It's like a little dun. It's usually the root note of your main melody, but that's what a sting is.
Yeah, no, it's such a simple technique, but when you put in that context of a television show, it really puts the emphasis on that. They usually put that like at the end of a scene, right?
Yeah, or like when they're transitioning, between scenes, basically, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. We got a comment here from Sebi Beats. He says he'd like to learn how to create licensable tracks, the right way to send them, and what genres could be big in the future for sync licensing. That's what he was looking to gain from the masterclass we got going on soon.
All right.
Is that something we're pretty much going to talk about all that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. We're getting into it.
Getting into the weeds of it, man.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in that free thing that I didn't even know yet.
Yeah, that's That's gonna be a big one, right? There's gonna be a lot of sauce dropped in that free masterclass, just from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, 100%. If you know me,
Yeah.
I like to. I give out all the gems. I give out the whole blueprint. So that's the goal.
Yeah, no, that's great. We also got another comment here from the Key Beats. He says, especially how to get his foot in the door. He hears people saying email 50 supervisors a day.
Damn.
Others say IMBD, music libraries, and a few other avenues. But yeah, that's all stuff that you're gonna cover in the free masterclass, right, Nathan?
Yeah, 100%. And shout out to the Keys, man. That guy is super talented. Super talented producer. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. We're gonna talk about that. You definitely don't want to be emailing me 50 music supervisors a day. That's for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like a running in place like a cartoon character,
Yeah.
just kicking
sure.
up dust. But yeah, if y'all got any more questions for Nathan about the master class that we got going on soon, what y'all expect from it, go ahead and start dropping them down below. But other than that, I think we're getting towards the end of this office hour session.
Nathan, I did want to ask you, so sync licensing, everyone's working from the shadows. What made you want to come out from the shadows and be in the light? Hey, Danny's in here. What's up?
Well, I've always had a passion of sharing. When I was in Full Sail, I was already like making tutorials on how to get the kick to sound like vibe beats. I don't know, Robin, you remember that? Like everybody was trying to make the kick and 808 to sound like vibe beats. I was like trying to figure that out. I was posting tutorials on how to get mixing and stuff like that. I was a youngin', and you can go back and still watch those videos. Very like young and not really confident within myself, but I always had a passion to kind of teach that stuff. And even before I was leaving the music library, I was already starting to post that stuff. And I think because I really realized how many people don't know about this stuff, like how many producers are struggling to sell beats or make a living or getting screwed over by industry, because I knew a few people in the industry as well. And I think that me being able to kind of share my experiences, and I didn't know that how receptive it would be. I thought people really wouldn't care about music licensing, like people already have their stigmas about it. So I think that for me, what really pushed me to do it is kind of just, like I said earlier, is teach that younger version of myself. Once I started talking about it and see the feedback from it and actually see people find success from what I was teaching, that's what really made me really passionate about, spreading the awareness of this.
I mean, ever since we started working together and just making more content, we constantly had to make you aware that you were talking about stuff that for you was like common sense, but we were like, dude, this is new. Like even for us, this is new. Like you don't even know how much knowledge you hold, because this has just been your entire life, like for the past couple of years, right? So
for sure,
that's very easy for us to just give you questions and
yeah, for sure.
We'll get the data and answers from you, and we just put it out there. Yeah, super valuable.
For sure.
Yeah, awesome. Looks like we got Beats by Danny in the chat. What's up,
What's
bro?
up, Beats by Danny? That's another guy starting to kill the sync game too as well. Shout out to Beats by Danny.
Yeah, I love your videos, bro. We also got another question from where is it? Oh, Darian, if you ask, I believe he asked, is the webinar going to be mobile friendly?
Yes and no. So yes, you can watch it on your phone, but with how it is there so many notifications that will come in. If you click out, then you lose your spot. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to be less distraction and less accidental on computers. So you can watch on your phone, but if you click out and you lose your seat, you might be screwed.
Safe to say, we're still trying to figure out the technicals because we got so many sign notes. But plus, I mean, like we were working on that today as well. Like we're going to be using like some slides and stuff as well to make sure that we get the information out there as clear as possible. And that is something that I feel like you could be better off watching on a bigger screen than trying to look at that on a mobile device. So that too. So preference is probably desktop. If no other choice, then go for it.
Yeah, I guess just don't miss it. There's gonna be it's gonna be a lot. You don't want to miss it. But yeah, I don't think we really want to get too much into the technical details and questions regarding sync. That's more of what we're gonna be covering in the master class. But yeah, no, this has been great. It's been really good talking to you guys, getting the whole gang together here You know, the vibe's been great. And
100%.
I just want to know, mostly, yeah. Is I want to know is like, is there anything else we want to cover about the masterclass before we go ahead and end this session?
You got to be there. If you're not there, you're a square.
I was gonna say, Ryan, do your YouTube pitch. Come on.
Honestly, if you're pretty much left field as to what sync licensing is now. Me and Nathan have had calls kind of going over notes of like, hey, dude, like once we press the button, like you're kind of in for it. So like you got to have your shit like a little bit together. So like just with the outline we've been going through of just talking points for him to expand on. I mean, if you're left field to this, I don't know how fast you can get going, technically speaking, but you're going to be 10 steps ahead of somebody like who probably took like 3 months to get just some information. Like within, I don't know, like the first 30 minutes, you're going to be like caught up to speed there. And even if you're somebody who's a little bit more advanced, I still think it's going to be super valuable just to hear more so about Nathan's just kind of his processes and his systems to getting over 10,000 TV placements, which the first time I saw that, I thought that was a typo. I was like, that's a fucking lot. I was like, we sure, Robin? He's like, he said it. I was like, okay, well, we've been putting it kind of like everywhere on social media posts, and he's been saying it too. So
the more music, the more. Just today, I got a DM for actually the homie Beats by Danny. He was saying that the tracks that he sent in, I think we made an album like a year ago or 2 years ago. And the tracks that he sent in before, it was like maybe like 3 or 4 tracks that he maybe sit in are still getting placed today. So, you'll be surprised at how the longevity of a track can last within sync licensing.
I mean, you just had a track.
Bro, I just got an idea. Like, we haven't even talked about this. Like, there's like good ways to collaborate on this too as producers, right?
Yeah.
Because you said you
100%.
made an album with Beats by Danny?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the homie.
Oh, I got an idea. What if we just make it like a Heat album with anyone can submit their music and we'll just give it to you, Nathan. You can go shop around with it.
I gotta get the right connects for that, but that would be something that would definitely be dope in the future. I feel like there's so many like I said, the keys and stuff like that, people in here. There's so many talented people in here.
Oh yeah,
there's no reason why we couldn't just take over that lane. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, for sure. That kind of sounds like Heat album 2023 coming later this year. We can talk about that later. But yeah, this has been good. Do you guys have any last words before we go ahead and call it for today?
I'm good.
You good?
Be signed up for the free masterclass.
Yeah, that's pretty much. That's what I was gonna say. Pretty much there again. Just don't miss it. You're not gonna want to miss this. But
for sure,
yeah.
I'm excited to see everybody there too. I'm actually kind of nervous. I'm actually pretty nervous. Like I was in public speaking at Full Sail, and I remember just reading like my note or whatever, my presentation, just shaking like, and that was like,
we were just joking about this. Like we're already at 2,500 people, right? Like imagine just having a room filled with that many people. That's
just
how
don't imagine that. Just don't imagine. Whatever you do not imagine. I was the same thing, dude. In front of a class of 15 people, my voice would get like choked up.
I was doing the same thing. I was starting to
my voice is like, sorry, my voice is going now. I don't know how.
Start having a breakdown, start crying.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So Nathan's gonna stop talking for now. I'll take over the rest of this masterclass.
I can't do this. I'm leaving, guys.
We're having some technical difficulties here. Ryan's gonna take over.
Everyone's just getting like a glimpse of like what it's in to be like a team call with us.
Dude, adding Rucker to it, Rucker is hilarious. Every time Rucker says something or like that's like on the low, it cracks me up.
Rucker has the one-liners.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
He doesn't say much, but when he does, man, it's like a zinger.
Yeah, this is kind of like a little glimpse into behind the scenes, what we kind of do. Just make it public. But yeah, this has been great. Everybody, make sure you don't miss out on the masterclass. We got the pinned link down below in the section in the description, I believe. You guys don't want to miss out on that. It's gonna be a crazy opportunity, and a lot of gems are gonna be dropped. This is gonna be it for today's session. We had Ryan, Robin, and Nathan here. It's been great talking to you guys, and I'm super excited to see everything that we got planned for this whole next year and beyond. It was really good talking to y'all today.
For sure.
Sure.
Make sure you guys have me on.
Oh,
there.
we got Rutger here too. That's nice. That's nice of you, Troy.
Yeah, there we go.
This moment of shine.
Now the whole team's all here. We're all on the screen.
Almost though.
You guys should hear
Almost.
Rutger's Russian accent. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't know this, but Rutger is actually FPS Russia.
Oh,
There
snap.
goes your
one.
1 out of 10, Ryan.
Yeah.
That makes sense to no one. So we're just
People
gonna
are just leaving, just pouring out right now.
All
yeah,
right,
we're-
guys.
we're just gonna leave it at that. No, I'm just playing. This has been great. It's great talking to you guys as always. Everybody, make sure you're there for that masterclass, and we'll see you guys later.
Peace out.
Peace
Thanks,
out.
Roy.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Peace.